So another piece of this, moving back to the kind of queerness of this, of my own personal experience and what I've been learning, I have recognized that if I chose to label myself, I identify as demisexual. What that means is that I don't experience attraction to people based on physicality. I don't experience my sexuality in a way that is statistically average. There are certainly other people who are demisexual and asexual in other ways, or like myself, but we are not the majority. That said, I don't experience attraction to other people. I don't walk down the street and see a beautiful person and feel hormonally activated by that. That is not how I experience love or attraction at all. I recognize souls on a soul level. I can see when I find people who are my twin flames or my soulmates, portals are open and I can see forward and I can see the present and I can see the past. I can see how they all link together. And those connections are really, really obvious to me. They're visceral. It's like stepping into a timeline that I'm really familiar with and resonate with. And it's a very specific connection. And it does not necessarily, in fact, for me, it doesn't even initially, generally speaking, bring any kind of sexual desire or even romantic. There is simply a desire to be close to. And I think that that's really important to articulate because in the culture in which we live, the idea that there can be intense, sustaining, important relationships that are not romantic and not sexual is not something that there's a whole lot of space for. But those things are possible and they're important. And one of the invitations of twin flame relationships is to identify how it makes sense for you to relate to that relationship in a way that's authentic to you. Because of the nature, the shadowy invitations that come in twin flame work, oftentimes we move into those spaces willing to give a lot of ourselves away in order to exist in that space. And the reason for that is because those twin flame relationships exist to illuminate those movements that we make that are actually not balanced or are coming from a place of psychic, emotional injury and trauma, and ultimately are not an authentic representation of who we are in relationship. So, next I want to talk about the way that twin flame relationships can look from the outside. Because twin flame relationships really are about having a profound, clear mirror of yourself, of the things about you that are beautiful, the things about you that you're ashamed of, and seeing that really clearly reflected in another and having the opportunity to hold, embrace, and offer healing not only to that other person by showing up for them in a way that's authentic to you, but showing up for yourself in the past or in the moment, and the ways that you have manifested these things you are seeing arise in another that you know also belong to you. So that's one invitation that's huge and beautiful. And again, there are some really important tools. I mean, you can connect with whatever you want to connect with, but recognizing that that's the space that you're in, find some tools to be in that with. Again, grounding is great, places where you can express, and also having a friend who can reflect back to you without judgment. Because twin flame relationships don't always look pretty from the outside. Even if other people have a sense that that twin flame is something that's cosmically ordained and that you are doing work on behalf of the whole, it can look pretty ugly from the outside. And I would argue too that there is a fine, fine line between a twin flame relationship and an abusive relationship. And I believe what marks the difference between those two things is whether or not you are both taking the invitations and doing the work. I'm talking about emotional abuse specifically. And also, even if you are in a relationship with a twin flame who has become abusive or you are perceiving as abusive and feel like leaving is what's necessary and also feel trapped because of the cosmic piece of your feeling and the fatedness of this, you have infinite twin flames. You have infinite twin flames. Sometimes the invitation in the twin flame is to draw a boundary when your boundaries are being crossed and to take care of yourself. Do not allow yourself to fall into the trap. And if you are supporting someone, do not reinforce the idea or the trap, the human contrived trap, that our opportunities for learning, our opportunities for growth, our opportunities for healing are limited. They are not. If the experience that you're having feels extreme and intense and you do not feel safe, it's time to leave. I say that recognizing that the work that goes into that is not so simple as simply leaving, but I really want to name that feeling as though a twin flame you've connected with is your only opportunity to heal is a human trick based on a scarcity mindset, and it's not true. If you are on a path to healing in this way, you get to choose. You are in a consensual, co-creative relationship with the cosmos, whether or not you know it, and you get to choose. I have experienced this firsthand myself with my twin flame, who is very far away and also of a gender other than what I am actually drawn to. I was clear with the universe and I said, hey, this experience has been really powerful and beautiful, and I'm not willing to step into a relationship with this person because of A, B, and C. The next manifestation was different and came along very quickly. You do not have to do all of the resolution that you're doing, the entire track of your healing with one twin flame. You have another. If you have many others, and they will arrive to you in the order that they're prepared and that you are in alignment with one another. I'm currently in a relationship with what used to be romantic, and we have since redrawn the boundaries of our relationship into friendship. I'm currently in a relationship with my second twin flame, who we have lived together for 4 years. With each of those twin flames, different lessons came. In the first, I got a really deep insight into gifts that I have that I needed a reflection for. My relationship with that person was a profound psychic opening for me. It brought me a new, profound, sustaining awareness of skills that I have that no one ever really reflected to me before, but I knew I had in a certain way. But they were able to emerge in a relationship with this person simply in knowing them. In fact, we had a deeply psychic connection. I would think about him and he would call me over and over again and answer questions I was thinking in my head about, wondering, what he was eating that day or what he was doing. And he would call and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know right that moment. As soon as I thought it, he would call and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm eating this right now. And I'd sit there going, how does he answer these questions that I'm thinking and not saying out loud when he's 6,000 miles away and we've known each other in real life in this lifetime for days? We've spent hours together. How is this happening? And that process for me was extremely painful, feeling the duality of that and feeling incredibly isolated. I had no framework to understand it. I had no tools for integrating. I had no support because I couldn't articulate what I was experiencing. And I do think that as time has progressed, I mean, that was almost a decade ago, and energetically, we've been moving toward unity at a very fast-paced, very quick pace. And because of that, the occurrences of twin flames and how those relationships are manifesting and how quickly that process is evolving has dramatically increased, which is beautiful. It's exactly what we need. So that was my first twin flame relationship, and then 3 months after I disengaged from that, after 5 years of back and forth and feeling one day like I absolutely had to go and be with him, and the next day like I never wanted to see him again, or even within the same moment or hour, which is very unusual for me. Though I do move from idea to idea very quickly, I actually don't move from feeling to feeling very quickly, generally speaking. My emotions are quite stable. And so feeling that extreme swing that was so clearly one side was connected to another was really, really unprecedented in my own experience. So shortly after disengaging from that relationship, I connected with another, and my relationship with him has been very painful. My relationship with him, I am a Leo, and so I like the pleasant things. I like the pleasant things first. And while there were some ugly mirrors in the first relationship, it really was a taste of who I am authentically, who I am when I'm whole, the power that I have and am capable of having cooperatively with other people when I'm healed and well, and what we're capable of creating in the world. So it was an insight into that, and that was really beautiful and inspiring. And the twin flame relationship I moved into immediately after that has been the other side. And it's also been pieces that are beautiful, but the balance is different between the two. This relationship, we moved in together having known each other for a month, never having met face to face. He lived on the East Coast of the United States. I lived in the Midwest. We met, and like days later, we were planning him moving in, and we've lived together for almost all of 4 years since that time. That relationship has been a lot of invitations into really powerful and painful things. Seeing the way that my ego stops me from connecting with other people, seeing the way that my attachment to the way that I choose to communicate precludes me from being able to communicate well with people who have different learning styles. And it's not about being able to communicate with everybody, because that's just ultimately not going to happen. But it is about learning how to compromise in cooperation with another person to be able to see them, and giving them the opportunity to see you, and laying down the stubbornness and frustration that they just don't see you to begin with. Because there are those people in the world who can just see you, and can see you for exactly who you are. And it's not everybody, and it's not the majority. And in order to heal the things that are keeping us from connecting with one another, it's really important to learn how to maintain our authenticity in relationship with other people, while also being willing and able to be flexible, to show up in a way where we can actually be seen, while staying centered and grounded in ourselves.